Hello students, welcome to Biology by SM Goud. My name is Setu Madhav Goud and I am your biology mentor. Students, today we are going to discuss about the topic the living world. First of all, we have to know the meaning of living world. The living world means the world that possessing or having the living organisms or living beings. All living organisms have life. Now the question arises, what is meant by the word life? The term life cannot be defined precisely. So the term life cannot be defined precisely. We cannot give the proper definition to the life. It is very difficult to define the term life. Why? Because it is characterized by all living beings. It is something special and unique feature of all living organisms and exclusive property as well. So life is something special, unique feature and exclusive property. Life is expressed by some characteristic features of all living organisms. As you know, all living organisms have life. These organisms show some characteristic features. These characteristic features prove that living organisms have life. So, life is expressed by characteristic features of all living organism. It is expressed by the characteristic features. So, here I have written some characteristic features of that are shown by the living organisms. For example, growth, reproduction, metabolism, respiration, excretion, nutrition, cellular organization, homeostasis, consciousness or response to external stimuli, adaptation, evolution, repair and regeneration, aging and death. Based on these characteristic features, we can define the term life. Now, what is meant by the life? The life is, that means it is unique feature and complex organization of molecules that expresses itself through chemical reactions which lead to growth and development, reproduction, adaptation, consciousness, etc. So, chemical reactions. What is the chemical reaction? Why the chemical reactions are present in living organisms? Yes, of course, where there is biology, there is chemistry. Without chemistry, there is no biology. So basically, any living organism is made up of cells. As you know, all living organisms are made up of cells. From single cellular organisms to multicellular organisms, every organism body is made up of cells. Okay, cell is composed or made up of organelles. What are organelles? Organelles are the structural and functional unit of cells. So, examples of the organelles are mitochondria, chloroplast, ribosomes, nucleus, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, lysosomes. These are all the organelles. So, these organelles contain or possess some chemical molecules: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, potassium, phosphorus, hydrogen, etc. So, due to the presence of these molecules, these chemical molecules in the cells, chemical reactions take place. Due to these chemical reactions, life is expressed by the growth and development, reproduction, adaptation, consciousness, etc. So, organelles are made up of molecules. So, molecules are organized to organelles. So, molecules are made up of atoms. What is meant by atoms? So, atoms are the basic unit of any material. So, Now the question arises, what is living organism? The living organism means any object having life. Already I told you, all living organisms life. So a living organism means any object having life. For example, animals, plants, single cell organisms or microorganisms. Now, what is meant by the cell? So, cell is the basic structural, functional, and fundamental unit of an organism. So, already I told you here, atoms are together form the molecules, and molecules together form the organelles, and the organelles together form the cells. Here, a group of atoms together form molecules, a group of molecules together form organelles, a group of organelles together form cell, a group of cells together form tissue, a group of tissues together form organ, a group of organs together form organ system, a group of organ systems together form organism or the body of an organism. Okay, so now we have to know the study of living organisms. So the study of living organism is known as biology. So the term biology consists of two words. One is the bios, second one is the logos. Bios means life and logos means study. So the study of life. So biology is divided into mainly three branches: zoology, botany, microbiology. So zoology is a branch of science which deals with the animals, or study of animals is known as zoology. Next one, botany. Botany is also a branch of biology which deals with the plants, or study of plants is known as botany. Next one, microbiology. So microbiology is also a branch of biology which deals with the microscopic animals or microorganisms, or the study of organisms is also called as microbiology. So the father of biology, that means zoology and botany, is Aristotle. So Aristotle is said to be father of biology, both zoology and botany. But the father of botany, Theophrastus, he is also said to be plant biologist. Yes, he is also said to be plant biologist. Next, father of microbiology is Antony van Leeuwenhoek. Antony van Leeuwenhoek is said to be father of microbiology. Okay, so in this living world, not only present the living organisms, but also present some non-living things. What are called non-living things? The things which do not have life. So they don't have life, do not show any living features. These things are called non-living things. Examples: rocks, mountains, book, pen, table, chair, these markers, this board, etc. Since life is expressed by some characteristic features of living organisms, so the living organisms differ from the non-living things in many ways. Why? Because they show some characters, some living characters, as we discussed earlier. For example, growth, reproduction, respiration, nutrition, consciousness, and regeneration, cellular organization, etc. But according to NCERT, these 5 characters are given. So these 5 characters very important for your NEET examination. So those are: number 1, growth, reproduction, metabolism, cellular organization, consciousness. These 5 characters are very important. Okay, there is one thing to be noted here. What is meant by the defining feature and what is meant by the non-defining feature? So you must know what is meant by defining feature and non-defining feature. Students, within couple of minutes, I will let you know what is the meaning of these two words. So, first, let us discuss about one by one. First, we are going to discuss about the growth. So, actually, what is meant by growth? What is meant by growth? It is increase in mass. Growth is increase in mass and increase in number of cells. Increase in number of cells. These are the twin characters. Twin character means here increase in mass and increase in number of cells. These two characters are the twin characters of growth. So the growth is a result of the metabolism. Growth is result of metabolism. So what is meant by metabolism? The sum total of the chemical reactions that occur in the living organisms are known as metabolism. So the growth is actually, it is non-defining feature. Non-defining feature. Why the growth is called non-defining feature? Why it is called so? So first one, before going to why it is called non-defining feature, we must know the types of growth and what is the what are the types of growth, what is the definition of the types of growth, and what is the growth present in human beings and animals and non-living things. Okay, the growth is various types. Here one is the indeterminate growth. First one is the indeterminate growth. So indeterminate growth means this is unlimited growth. So indeterminate means unlimited. It never stops. It continues throughout the life of organism. So it is called unlimited growth. It is not terminated. This growth is not terminated. Terminated means never stops. This type of growth occurs in plants. So the indeterminate growth occurs in plants. So the best examples of indeterminate growth, plants. You see, the plants, they always grow throughout their life. But in other living organisms, for example, animals, human beings, they don't show throughout the growth throughout their life. Okay, whenever they reach at a certain age, definitely they stop the growth. So here indeterminate growth, it is unlimited, it is not terminated. This type of growth occurs in plants. That is called as indeterminate growth. Okay, next one, indeterminate growth. What is meant by indeterminate growth? The indeterminate growth is, it is limited growth. Limited means stops at any time. At any time the growth stops. That's why it is known as limited growth. And it is terminated at certain age of organism. This growth generally occurs in human beings. So you see, human beings, generally human beings grow at certain age. After that the growth will be stopped. They never grow again. But while in plants they continue the growth throughout their life until they die. So in plants indeterminate growth occurs. In human beings, that means in animals, determinate growth occurs. For example, in boys. So boys generally, their growth is very high in between at the age of 18 to 20 years. When they reach 18 or 20, their growth is increased until the 18 years or 20 years. Whenever they reach 18 or 20, the growth will be stopped. They never grow. They don't show growth later on. Next, girls. Girls show only 14 to 15 years. Between in these years, they increase their size, their height, maximum size. After that 14 to 15 they stop the growth. So these human beings have a determinate growth. This determinate growth called it is terminated at certain age. Okay, next one, localized growth. What is meant by localized? So localized means at some regions, some special regions this growth occurs, this growth belongs to some particular regions only. So it is restricted. It is restricted. Restricted means only that belongs to only certain regions, that is limited to certain regions. Certain regions means meristematic regions. Meristematic regions. What is meristematic? So already you know meristematic tissue is present only plants. So this meristematic tissue present at the tip of the shoot. Tip of the shoot means shoot apex or tip of the shoot. Shoot means very tender stem, and tip of the root or root apex. These two regions have some special kind of tissue. The tissue is called meristematic tissue. This meristematic tissue have the special feature. This tissue undergo the division. It continues their division throughout the plant life. That's why these shoot apex and root apex, they show the growth throughout their plant life or until the plant die. That's why it is known as localized growth. Okay, next, diffused growth. What is meant by diffused growth? So diffused means it is all over the body. Diffuse means it is all over the body. So it refers to surface expansion occurring. In this growth, surface expansion occurring. So this growth takes place in all the parts of the body. While in plants, this localized growth never occur in all parts of the plant body. Only that kind of growth occurs in the shoot apex and root apex only. But flowers, leaves, branches, some kinds of buds, they don't show the throughout the plant life. They don't show the growth throughout the plant life. But diffused growth it takes place in all parts of the body, and it refers to the surface expansion occurring. So there are no active regions of growth. Okay, here in this type of growth there are no active regions, but while in plants there are active regions. What are they? Shoot apex and root apex. These two are the active regions of a plant where the growth occurs continuously throughout the plant life. But here diffused growth, there are no active regions. There are no active regions. For example, human beings. So in human beings there are no active regions. Human body is human body grows throughout the surface area. It increases surface area and all parts increased. All organs also increase their size. Okay, that's why it is known as diffused growth. Next one, intrinsic growth. This is called internal growth also. This is called internal growth. So intrinsic growth means internal growth. What is meant by internal growth? Internal growth means actually this type of growth occurs in animals. Why? Because in the animals, the body is made up of cells. Already we have discussed the body, every organism made up of cells. Okay, so what is meant by growth? The growth is increasing the mass and number of the cells. Whenever the cells undergo the mitosis division, their number will be increased. In the same way, some kinds of muscles, they don't show the increase in the number of the cells, but they increase in the size. For example, muscle cell and nerve cells. So these two kinds of cells never go under the mitotic division because they don't have the capability of division. That's why they never increase the number of the cells. Only they increase the size of the cells. Remaining all cells, they undergo the mitotic division and they grow in the number. Okay. Example, human beings or all living beings. So that's why intrinsic growth is called the internal growth. Internal growth. So this internal growth only is the defining feature of living organisms. Defining feature. So the intrinsic growth or the internal growth is the only defining feature of the living organisms. Okay. Next one, extrinsic growth. Extrinsic means external, outside. So this type of growth occurs in non-living things. For example, mountains, rocks, sand mounds, crystals. These are the non-living things. No. For example, you may see that in the desert areas there are some sand mounds. These sand mounds, this is the sand mound, and this sand mound, some years later, it is in growth. It shows some growth. So this type of growth is not occur inside. It is only external growth. Why? Because here some matter is accumulated on the surface of the sand mounds. So in the same way, rocks also show the growth and mountains also show the growth. So this growth only because of the accumulation of matter on the surface of the non-living things. Even though the growth present in these non-living things, this is not real growth. So the growth occurs living organisms as well as non-living things. But based on this living beings and non-living things, actually their growth is non-defining feature. So not only that, if you take plants show the growth throughout their life, but and animals, they don't show the growth throughout their life. And whenever they reach a certain age, definitely the growth will be stopped. That's why the growth is called non-defining feature of living organisms. Okay. The second characteristic feature of living organism is reproduction. So let us go through the reproduction. What is meant by reproduction? Reproduction means the process of living being producing its offspring is known as reproduction. Here, what is meant by offsprings? Offsprings means their children or babies or new individuals, or the ability of an organism to give birth to the young one of the same species is known as reproduction. As you are aware, the reproduction process is the common feature of the all living organisms. Okay, so based on the modes of the reproduction or how the reproduction process takes place in all living organisms, it is divided or categorized into two types. One is the asexual reproduction, second one is the sexual reproduction. Okay, asexual reproduction. What is meant by asexual reproduction? Here what happens, there is no fusion of gametes, there is no fusion of there is no formation of gametes, there is no fertilization. See here, first single parent involved here, only single parent involved, no gamete formation. Here no gamete formation occurs and no fusion of gametes, because there is no gamete formation and no fusion of gametes. As well, no fertilization. So fertilization also does not occur here. So the best examples for asexual reproductions are binary fission, budding, regeneration, vegetative propagation, sport forming, parthenogenesis. This parthenogenesis is also called as agamogenesis or apomixis. So let us go through all these aspects briefly. So first one, let us see the binary fission. So the best examples for binary fission, amoeba, paramecium. Amoeba, paramecium. How the binary fission, asexual reproduction takes place in amoeba? Let us see. Here binary fission means, binary means two, fission means dividing into two parts, So in amoeba binary fission, first see here, this is amoeba and this is the nucleus of amoeba. So in the first stage of binary fission, this nucleus divides into two nuclei. That means the nucleus undergoes into karyokinesis. After karyokinesis, cytokinesis will be happened. Cytokinesis means division of cell, like this. One nucleus is present inside in one amoeba and another nucleus is present in this. So after cytokinesis, two daughter amoebae will form like this. That means here binary fission takes place in the mitosis manner. So one amoeba undergoes mitotic division and it gives rise to two amoebae or two daughter cells. Okay. Next one is budding. So this budding process is going Hydra, Baker's yeast. So Hydra and Baker's yeast are the best examples for budding. So how the budding process takes place in Hydra? Let us see. This is Hydra. On the body surface of Hydra, there is small bulge-like structures are produced. These bulge-like structures. These structures will be developed and matured into new Hydra. After maturation of these birds detach from the parent body and develop into new individual. So this is called budding. Next one, regeneration. For example, regeneration, planaria, starfish. In starfish or planaria, let us see how the regeneration process takes place in planaria. See, this is planaria. This is planaria. Suppose the body of planaria is somehow cut or broken up into small pieces like this. Small pieces or fragments. These are the fragments or small pieces of the planaria. Each fragment again develop into new organism through the process of regeneration. So this regeneration is also called fragmentation. Regeneration is also called fragmentation. This is planaria. This is planaria. So the fragmentation process or the regeneration process takes place in planaria like this manner. Next one, spore forming. Generally, spores are produced in fungi, algae. See here, this is the fungus filaments. And these are the hyphae of the fungus. These filaments have some ball-like structures. These structures are called sporangium or sporangia. In matured sporangia, there are number of single cell spores are present. After the maturation of sporangia, it bursts and release the spores into the air. These spores travel in the air and reaches food material or soil. In the favorable conditions, these spores germinate and develop into new fungi or new plants. Okay, so this is the process of spore forming. Next one, parthenogenesis. So parthenogenesis, what is meant by parthenogenesis? So the best examples for parthenogenesis, honeybee, wasp. In honeybee, wasp, generally there are three types of honeybees. So before going to discuss about that, first what is meant, let us know that what is meant by parthenogenesis. In parthenogenesis means egg is developed into embryo without being fertilized by the sperm cell. So what happens here? Egg is not fertilized. Without fertilization, it is developed into embryo, that is called parthenogenesis. So as I said earlier, honeybees are generally three types. One is this is drone. That means male bee. Male bee is called drone. This drone or male bee is fertile. Fertile means they can produce the gametes or the sex cells. And second bee, that is called queen bee. This is queen bee. This is female. This is female. It is also fertile, but there is one exception. This queen bee lays the eggs. Some eggs are fertilized by the drone or male bees. Some eggs are not fertilized. So from the eggs which are not fertilized, some honeybees are developed. Those honeybees are called worker bees. Worker bees. These worker bees are also female bees, but these worker bees are not fertile. They are completely sterile. Why? Because These worker bees are developed from the unfertilized eggs. Unfertilized eggs. So, sterile means not able to produce children. That is called sterile. Okay. So, this is called parthenogenesis. In the same manner, wasps also develop in the parthenogenesis, sexual asexual reproduction. Okay. Next. Next, let us see the sexual reproduction. So, what happens in sexual reproduction? In this process of reproduction, there are two parents required, and these two parents produce the gametes. That means gametes are produced. So, fusion of the gametes happens and fertilization occurs. Why? Because here gametes are produced. Fusion of gametes and fertilization occurs. So, fertilization means it is also called syngamy. So, that's why it is called sexual reproduction. While the asexual reproduction, this reproduction is not required two parents, but sexual reproduction requires two parents. One is the male and female parents. That is called sexual reproduction. And see here, mule. So, what is mule? So, it is the fertile, the infertile animal. That means sterile animal. So, the mule is developed by the mating of male donkey and female horse. So, the male donkey is called jock and the female horse is called mare. So, mating between these two, male donkey and female horse, mule will be developed. This mule completely sterile. And next year, one thing to be noted, very important, hermaphrodites. What are hermaphrodites? See, there are some animals which have the both reproductive organs. That means male and female reproductive organs are present in both animals, their bodies. Those such animals are called hermaphrodites. These animals are also called bisexual animals. Examples: Taenia solium or tapeworm and earthworm. See here. There is one difference between Taenia solium and earthworm, though they are bisexual hermaphrodites. See, first one, Taenia solium, they have the male and reproductive organs in the same body. But here, fertilization occurs in the same animal, that is only one animal, through the self-fertilization. But in earthworm, fertilization takes place, that means cross fertilization. Here, two animals are required, but here only one parent is required. That is the difference between these two animals. Though they are hermaphrodites, but this is the difference between them. Okay, and see this reproduction, this characteristic feature of reproduction is totally non-defining feature. Why it is called non-defining feature? See, some animals are sterile animals and some animals are fertile animals. So that's why this feature is completely non-defining feature of the living organisms. But this reproduction does not take place in non-living things. When compared to the non-living things, it is a defining feature of the living organisms. But in a living organism, there are some exceptions. Those exceptions are called parthenogenesis. Parthenogenesis means egg is developed into embryo without being fertilized by the sperm cells, and mule is produced by the male donkey, female horse, which is totally sterile animal, and also some hermaphrodites. Here, earthworm, they have the male reproductive also, female reproductive also, reproductive organs in their body. Here, cross fertilization occurs, but Taenia solium, they are also hermaphrodites, but here self fertilization occurs. So that's why this reproduction is the non-defining feature of the living organism. Okay. Next, let us go through the third characteristic feature is metabolism. Metabolisms are also one of the characteristic feature of the living organisms. Metabolism means the sum of the all chemical reactions. Metabolisms means the sum of the total of all chemical reactions in the body are called metabolisms. So all living organisms they perform some metabolisms like as I said earlier, growth, reproduction, cellular organization, consciousness, reproduction, respiration and excretion. These are all the metabolisms which are expressed by the living organisms. So many number of thousands of chemical reactions are present in living organisms. Okay. Here metabolism is categorized into two types. One is the anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is also called building up reactions. Anabolism means building up reactions and catabolism means breakdown reaction. Here you see it is also called constructive metabolism. So anabolism is also called as constructive metabolism. Constructive means building up. Okay. And next it is includes all building up reactions. It includes all building up reactions and this anabolism involves synthesis of complex substances. So anabolism involves in the synthesis of complex substances. The best example for the anabolism, photosynthesis. This word itself consists here. Synthesis means preparation, production. Okay, build up. So the photosynthesis means here photo means you see photo means light. Photo means light and synthesis. Synthesis means prepare. Synthesis means prepare. So photosynthesis, this process is taken by all photosynthetic plants, green plants. So for these plants prepare the glucose, that means their food material by themselves by using the carbon dioxide, sunlight and water. They can prepare their own food material. That is called photosynthesis. Photo means light and synthesis means prepare. So we can say the photosynthesis is the best example for anabolism, or it is also called as constructive metabolism. Okay. So and next one, catabolism. So catabolism also said breakdown reaction. Okay. So it also called destructive metabolism. Destructive means breakdown. And next it includes all the breakdown reactions. It involves breakdown of complex substances. In this reaction, in this metabolism, the complex food materials will be broken down into small pieces of substances. The best example for this catabolism, glycolysis pathway. So glycolysis means here the word itself calls lysis. Glyco means glucose. Glyco means glucose. Lysis means breakdown. Lysis means breakdown. Here the glucose molecule is the 6 carbon compound. So one molecule of glucose, that is the 6 carbon molecule, it is breakdown into 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. So this is so that's why it is known as catabolic pathway. And so metabolism means the sum total of all chemical reactions in the body are called metabolism. So it is divided into two types, anabolism and catabolism. So the best example for anabolism, photosynthesis, and the best example for catabolism, glycolysis pathway. Okay. So but all these chemical reaction, that means respiration, reproduction, excretion, growth, and such a kind of all metabolic reactions do not take place in the non-living things. So non-living things they do not perform any metabolic reactions, but these chemical reactions are carried out in the laboratories by some scientists. Okay, but these are the living reactions, but the same reactions also carried out in the laboratories, that means in vitro conditions. In vitro conditions. In vitro means in the test tube, or the outside of the living organism, outside of the body. So all these that means all these metabolic reactions are carried out in the laboratories by some scientists. But these reactions also living reactions, but there is no cell, there is no living organism. That's why these reactions which are performed by the scientists in the laboratories, those are not living metabolism. Okay, that's why these metabolism reactions is the defining characteristic feature of the all living organism. It is a defining feature. It is the defining feature. So metabolisms are the defining feature of the all living organisms. These metabolisms do not present in the non-living things. Okay. Next characteristic feature is cellular organization. Cellular organization means the differentiation of a body into small units and subunits, arranged in a manner of orderly. That is called cellular organization. Due to the presence of organization, that means cellular organization, every living being is known as organism. So this cellular organization is a defining feature of the all living beings. It is called defining feature. Defining feature of the all living beings. Why? Because the cellular organization is not present in non-living things. So you say, as you are aware of all living organisms made up of cell. So the cell is the basic unit of the life. It is the structure and functional unit of an organism. You take in single cellular animals, for example, amoeba, paramecium, bacteria. So this body is made up of only one cell or single cell. So all life activities, all functions are carried out by only one cell. In higher level organisms, that means human beings, animal, plants, they have some tissues, organ systems which perform the different functions. But in single cellular animals or unicellular animals, they don't have the different kinds of organ systems. So the components of the unicellular organisms performs the all life activities. For example, you take contractile vacuole. So contractile vacuole works as the excretory system, and food vacuole, it performs the digestive system. In higher living organisms, they have the different kinds of organ systems. For example, digestive system, excretory system, respiratory system, reproductive system, and nervous system, skeletal system. That's why this cellular organization defining feature of the all living organisms, but not in non-living things. They don't have any cellular organization. Okay, and next last one, consciousness or response to external stimuli. Consciousness means it is the awareness of surrounding and respond to external stimuli. It is the awareness of the surroundings and response to external stimuli. The external stimuli means, what is meant by stimuli? Stimuli is any physical, chemical, biological factor which gives the response, that means visible response or reactions in the organisms, and to sense the environment. So consciousness means to sense the environment. What is meant by response? So response is the visible change or reaction which organism produces as a result of external stimuli is called response. Okay, and we sense the physical, chemical and biological stimuli. So we have the sense organs. We have five sense organs: eyes, nose, tongue, ear, and skin. Through these sense organs, we can perceive the physical, chemical, and biological stimuli through our sense organs. But plants also, they don't have any particular sense organs, but they show some consciousness. But even they can't move from one place to another place. But locomotion is absent in the plants, but they have some movements. For example, you see in sunflower. Sunflower shows the phototropism. Photo means light, tropism means movement. So whenever sun movements from east to north, in the same way the sunflower also turns towards the sun. That is called phototropism. And for example, you take one potted plant, you put in the window. The plant grows in the towards the light. So this is called phototropism. And thigmotropism, the best example for thigmotropism is touch me not plant. So that touch me not plant is the scientific name is Mimosa pudica. Mimosa pudica. So Mimosa pudica is the touch me not plant. So these plants, when you touch the plants of these plants, the leaves folding. So these leaves will fold. After some time, the leaves will become the normal position. So in north side, this plant is known as Chui Mui plant. Chui Mui plant or Lajwanti plant. In the North Indians, they call this touch me not plant or Mimosa pudica, Chui Mui or Lajwanti plant. In South Indians, we called in the touch me not plant or Attipatti. Attipatti. So Attipatti. So the thigmotropism present in the Mimosa pudica and phototropism present in the sunflower. In higher living beings have the self-consciousness. Higher living beings, for example, human beings, we have the self-consciousness. Self-consciousness means prediction, guessing. For example, the sun is cloudy. Immediately we can say it may rain. That is called the prediction. That is called the guessing. So the guessing or prediction is the self-consciousness. Self-conscious is present only in higher living beings. For example, human beings. But coma or brain dead patients, in coma patients as well as brain dead patients, they don't show the self-consciousness. These patients show only consciousness. So coma patients and brain dead patients, they don't show any self-consciousness, but they show only consciousness. Okay, now I will let you know why some characteristic features are defining features and why some characteristic features are the non-defining features. Okay. See here, growth, reproduction. These two characters are the non-defining features. Why these two characters are called non-defining features? Which means these characters present in living organisms. For example, you take growth. Growth also present in living organisms, and some kinds of growth also present in non-living things. For example, sand mounds and boulders there and mountains, some rocks, some crystals, they increase in their size. But that size, that characteristic feature is not, it's a permanent characters feature, and that is not the defining feature. So that's why in growth is the non-defining feature of the living organism. And reproduction, you take reproduction. So reproduction is completely absent in non-living things, but reproduction is the only characteristic feature of the living organism. But some living organisms, they are unable to produce gametes, they are unable to produce children. And some living organisms totally infertile, some living organisms totally sterile, but only some organisms produce babies or children and gametes. That's why it is also called non-defining feature. So that's why here I said, so non-defining feature with some exceptions. So some exceptions, these characters are called non-defining features. And next one, metabolism. Metabolism, cellular organization, and last one, consciousness. Consciousness. These three characters are known as defining features of the living organisms. Defining features of the living organisms, because these three characters, metabolism, cellular organization, consciousness, present only in living organisms but not in non-living things. That's why they are called with no exceptions. There are no exceptions for this characters. That's why these features are called defining features, and with some exceptions, these characters are called non-defining features. Okay, so this is all about the living world. Okay, so if you like my videos, you subscribe my channel and share it, and click the like button so that you will get my videos as a notifications. Okay, thank you.